The sky turned red without warning. No one saw the first attack coming. Earth had peace for decades, but that peace ended in 1 second. The invaders didn't send a message, didn't give a reason, didn't ask for surrender. They came from deep space, with ships like floating bones and weapons that burned cities from the sky. Major Rylan was not supposed to be in the field that day. He was on leave, visiting his sister in the quiet town of Darson. But when the alarms rang, he knew he had to return to duty. The military base outside the town was gone by the time he reached it. Nothing left but ash and metal. He grabbed his old gear from his sister's basement and climbed to the nearest hill to get a view. What he saw froze him. A giant alien ship hovered over the forest, beams shooting into the ground, ripping trees and soil apart. Smaller crafts buzzed around like angry insects. People ran in every direction, screaming, crying, calling for help that never came. Rylan saw a small girl stumble, fall, and get pulled into the air by something unseen. Then she vanished into a flash of light. The government stopped broadcasting an hour later. One final message repeated on a loop: survive. That was it. No orders, no strategy, just survive. Rylan moved through the ruins, searching for survivors. He found a group of farmers hiding in a cellar. He gave them food, comforted their children, and told them to stay quiet. He didn't know where the enemy was watching from, but he could feel eyes on him every moment. It was on the third day that he saw her, in the middle of the burning town square. An alien girl stood alone. Her skin was silver blue, her eyes glowing like soft moonlight. She was not like the invaders. She looked scared, weak, almost human in emotion. She tried to speak but collapsed before the first word finished. Rylan rushed to her, checked her pulse. It was faint but steady. She opened her eyes slightly and whispered one sentence before fainting completely. "They are not the real enemy." Rylan stared at her face, his mind spinning. What did she mean? Who were they? And if not them, then who? He carried her to the old town clinic, now half broken, and laid her on a bed under the flickering lights. He had more questions than answers, and all of Earth might depend on the truth behind that single sentence. And deep in the sky, behind the clouds, something else moved, something larger than the warships, already burning the world. Asterisk. The alien girl lay still on the clinic bed as the wind howled through broken windows. Rylan sat beside her with his old rifle across his lap. Every few minutes, he checked outside to make sure no drones or scouts were near. The silence in the town was heavy, like it was holding its breath. He didn't know what she was or why she had said those words. They are not the real enemy. That sentence had repeated in his mind all night, like a ghost whispering in his ear. He had no way to contact command, no one to ask for orders. All he had was his instinct, and right now it told him this girl was important. In the morning she opened her eyes. They shimmered like glass touched by moonlight. She looked around in panic until she saw him. Her body relaxed only a little, but her voice was barely a whisper. "Where am I?" she asked. "You're safe for now," Rylan said gently. "You fainted after saying something strange about the enemy. You said they aren't the real ones. What did you mean?" She struggled to sit up. He helped her slowly. Her hands were cold, her skin soft like silk, but she had strength hidden under that gentle surface. "My name is Alexa," she said. "I'm not one of them. I'm from a different world, a different people. We were taken long ago, used like tools, like shadows, the ones attacking Earth. They are puppets, controlled by something deeper, something older, something that doesn't show itself yet." Rylan frowned. "You're saying this invasion is just a mask?" She nodded. "The real enemy hides behind them, The bone ships. The drones, they are just weapons, not alive. Not deciding anything. The real ones stay far away, sending commands through machines. Never risking themselves. They have done this to many planets. Earth is just next. Rylan didn't know whether to believe her, but her eyes didn't lie. She looked afraid, not for herself, but for everyone. I escaped them, she said. Barely. They don't know I'm here yet. If they find out, they'll send something worse. Something that erases memories and melts cities without sound. He stood and paced the room, trying to think. Then we need to hide you better, if you're right, and something worse is coming. We need answers fast. Do you know how to stop them? Alexa looked down. Maybe, but I need to connect to their beacon. It's how they control the ships. If I can reach one of their relays, I might be able to send a false signal or break their pattern, but getting to it, that's nearly impossible. It's guarded by walking metal beasts and flying eyes. Rylan didn't hesitate. Tell me where it is. I'll take you. She stared at him for a long moment. Why would you help me? I'm not human. He picked up his rifle and checked the chamber. Because Earth's burning, and you're the first one who said something that sounds like a way to stop it. That's enough for me. They left the clinic before sunrise, moving through ruined streets and broken buildings. Smoke still rose from the city center where the last wave of ships had passed. Rylan knew every back alley, every shortcut, and he used them all to avoid patrol drones. Alexa wore a hood made from a burnt curtain to hide her face. Even covered, her glowing eyes peeked through. If any scanner picked that up, it would be over. They reached the outer ridge of town by mid-afternoon. Alexa pointed toward a rocky hill in the distance. The relay is hidden under that ridge, a secret base carved into the earth. If we reach it, I can try to override their signal, but we have to be fast and careful. One wrong move and we'll be dust before we speak. Raylan stared at the hill. It looked quiet. Peaceful even, but he knew better. The real monsters didn't make noise until they were ready to kill. They waited until dusk, using the shadows to move closer. As they crawled through tall grass, a strange clicking sound filled the air. Raylan held up his hand and froze. A creature stepped out from behind a boulder. It had no skin, only wires and bones of silver metal. Its face was smooth and empty, like a skull made of mirrors. Its head turned toward them, sensing something. Rylan slowly raised his rifle. Alexa whispered, "Don't shoot. It'll call others if it hears a gunshot. Let me try something first." She reached into her coat and pulled out a crystal-shaped device, glowing with soft blue light. She pressed it gently, and the light pulsed. The creature paused. Its head twitched, confused. Then it turned away and walked back behind the rock like it never saw them. Rylan stared at her. "What did you just do?" "I used an old command from before I escaped," she said. "It won't work twice on the same one. We have to move fast now." They slid down the hill together, crawling toward the hidden entrance under the ridge, where the first real answer waited in the dark. Rylan and Alexa stood at the entrance of the hidden ridge base. The air smelled like cold stone and oil. Thick metal doors were half buried under dust and grass, hidden from any drone flying overhead. It didn't look like much, but Alexa said, "This place was once a relay point for the enemy's command signals." She placed her hand on the control panel beside the door. The screen blinked red for a moment, then turned blue. The door slid open with a quiet hiss, revealing darkness beyond. They stepped inside slowly. Rylan's flashlight beam cut through the shadows, revealing metal walls covered with strange symbols. The place was quiet, too quiet. No guards, No sounds, just the distant hum of machines buried deep underground. Alexa moved quickly, like she remembered the path. Her hands traced the wall, like she could feel the current inside it. This place was built to send signals across planets. She said, "The core is deep inside, but we need to reach the interface chamber first. That's where I can link in." Ryland followed close behind, scanning every corner. He didn't trust the silence. Places like this were never left unguarded. Unless it was a trap. As they reached the second level, a sharp noise echoed from above, a scraping sound, like claws on metal. Ryland turned off the light and pulled Alexa into the shadows. They waited, holding their breath. A creature dropped from the ceiling. It had long legs like spider wires and red lights for eyes. It crawled across the floor, scanning the walls with clicking sounds. Ryland aimed his rifle, but Alexa touched his arm. "Not yet," she whispered. "It hasn't seen us. We can go around it through the vent shaft." They backed away quietly, then climbed into a narrow tunnel that ran beside the wall. The space was tight, barely wide enough for Ryland to fit. But they crawled through slowly until they dropped down into another hallway. The interface room was just ahead. The door was locked, but Alexa placed her crystal device against the panel. It glowed, then clicked, and the door slid open. Inside, glowing blue circuits covered the walls. In the center stood a large pillar humming with strange energy. Alexa rushed to it and placed her hands on the surface. Her eyes began to glow brighter. "This is it," she said. "If I can feed it the wrong coordinates, I can make their ships think Earth is already destroyed. They'll stop attacking, maybe even leave, but it won't last forever. The real enemy will notice the silence and send something to check. We'll only buy time. Do it." Ryland said, "Time is all we need to find the truth and fight back." She closed her eyes, and the room filled with strange light. Symbols moved across the walls, and a deep hum grew louder. Ryland stepped back, guarding the door, rifle ready. Suddenly, the pillar sparked. Alexa gasped and stumbled. Her hand shot back from the machine like it burned her. "They changed the system," she said, voice shaking. "It's not just a relay anymore. They're listening through it. They know I'm here." Before Ryland could speak, alarms began to scream through the base. Red lights flashed along the walls, and doors slammed shut behind them. "You said we'd have time," Ryland said sharply. "They've evolved," she answered. "They never stop adapting. We have to destroy this relay now before it locks onto Earth's coordinates again. We can't let them re-aim the weapons." Ryland pulled out a small charge from his bag. "Will this work?" She nodded. "Place it near the energy core. I'll keep it open long enough for you to reach it. But once it blows, the shockwave will alert everything around for miles. We'll have to run fast." Ryland sprinted to the center, planted the charge, and activated the timer. As he returned, Alexa held the door open, with both hands glowing brightly, her face pale from the effort. The moment he crossed the doorframe, the timer hit 0. They ran. Behind them, the base shook as a huge boom echoed through the metal halls. Fire and light exploded through the vents, chasing them down the corridors. They barely made it out through a side shaft as the ridge above them collapsed in smoke and rubble. Panting, coughing, and covered in ash, they rolled down the hill into the dry grass. "That was close," Ryland said, breathing hard. Alexa didn't answer at first. She looked back at the rising smoke, her face tight with fear. "They know where I am now," she said, "and they'll send something worse. The Observer. It watches, it hunts, and it never leaves a trail. If it comes, nothing will stop it, not even me." Ryland looked into her eyes and saw something he hadn't seen before, pure fear. Not for herself, but for him. And high above them, far beyond the clouds, a dark shape began to move through space. Its eyes already locked on Earth. Asterisk, the wind was still as the smoke. From the destroyed relay base rose into the sky like a black signal fire. Raylan and Alexa sat behind a crumbled wall near the edge of the forest. They had run far, but they both knew it wasn't far enough. Alexa's eyes were locked on the sky. "It's coming," she whispered. "The observer is already awake. It doesn't need orders, doesn't need machines, it just finds, learns and erases. Once it arrives, we'll have minutes to act or none at all." Raylan checked his rifle again, even though he knew bullets wouldn't help much. "Then we hit. If first find it before it finds us. Is that possible?" "No one has ever tried," she said. "Everyone just hides or runs, but maybe that's why they always lose. Maybe attacking first is the only way to confuse it. It's not used to fear, it's used to being feared." They moved again, sticking to the shadows of broken buildings and forests. The ruined cities were now home to silence and ash. Sometimes, Raylan spotted lights in the sky, scanning beams looking for movement. They always waited until they passed before moving again. That night, they camped near a frozen river. Alexa sat close to the fire, staring at her glowing crystal. It pulsed slowly, in rhythm with her heartbeat. Raylan asked, "What does that thing do?" "It's a part of me," she said. "When I escaped the network, I took this piece. It lets me feel their signals, see their patterns, but it's also how they can track me. When I use it, it shines and they see it. I've been hiding it. But now I think we have to use it to find the observer." He nodded slowly. "Then we make it a trap. Use the crystal to call it in, and then destroy it." Her face turned toward him with surprise. "You want to fight it?" "I didn't come this far to run now," Raylan said. "If this thing controls the others, or at least reports to them, then killing it might blind them for a while. Give Earth time to breathe. Maybe even push back." She hesitated, then finally nodded. "There's one place where it might be weak, an old satellite dish site in the mountains. They used it once to boost deep signals from space. If I send the crystal's pulse through it, the observer will come there directly. It always follows the strongest source. Then that's where we go." Raylan said. They marched for 2 days through frozen woods and broken towns. On the 3rd day, they saw the mountains rising like black teeth against the sky. The satellite dish still stood, leaning slightly but holding firm despite the damage around it. Alexa set up the crystal inside the central hub of the dish. It began to glow brighter than ever. Humming with power, Raylan stood guard on the platform, watching the horizon. The clouds above turned dark and twisted, like something massive pressed against the sky from the other side. Then he saw it, a shape huge, silent, and slow descending without sound. It looked like a living shadow wrapped in metal, with limbs that moved like smoke and dozens of eyes blinking across its skin. It didn't fly, it drifted, like a ghost pulled by thought. "The observer," Alexa whispered. "It's seen us, no turning back now." The ground cracked where it landed. No dust rose, no roar came, only silence that pressed into the bones. Its eyes scanned the dish, then locked onto Alexa. Suddenly, Raylan felt his mind shake like something was digging into his thoughts, looking through memories like pages in a book. He gritted his teeth and raised his rifle. Aiming at the largest eye, he fired. The shot hit, but it didn't hurt the creature. It only blinked, then began to move closer. Alexa stood, arms wide, her crystal floating in front of her chest. "You want me?" she shouted. "Come take me, but I won't let you have Earth." The observer raised one limb, energy building in its core. But before it could strike, the satellite dish behind Alexa lit up with a surge of light. She had activated the final command. The crystal's full signal shot into the sky, blasting upward through the dish like a laser. The observer screamed not with sound, but with a mental shockwave that made Raylan fall to his knees. The creature twisted, confused, its form flickering as if breaking apart. Alexa shouted, "Shoot now, its connection is weak." Raylan aimed again and fired into its core. This time, the bullet hit something vital. The creature staggered back, then exploded into thousands of glowing shards that vanished. Like dust in wind, silence returned. The sky cleared. The mountain winds returned. Alexa collapsed into Raylan's arms. "It's done," she said softly. "But they will come now. They will send more. Because we just showed them something they fear. We showed them that Earth can fight back." Raylan looked at the stars, knowing more would fall from them soon. But for now, they had won a moment of hope, and that was more than Earth had in a long time. The world didn't celebrate. There was no one left to throw confetti or light fireworks. But something changed after the observer died. The skies became calm for the first time in weeks. No new ships came down, and the bone drones stopped moving. Like they had lost their signal, Raylan and Alexa stayed near the old mountain dish for 2 days, watching, waiting, healing. Alexa had burns on her hands from the energy blast, and Raylan had bruised ribs, but they were alive, and more importantly, they had hope. On the third morning, the old satellite dish picked up a signal. It was weak and broken, but clearly human. ... This is Resistance Node 4. Repeat, Resistance Node 4. Anyone receiving ... Raylan's eyes widened. He grabbed the old transmitter and replied, "This is Raylan, former major, current survivor, with one alien ally and a dead observer beside me. What's your situation?" There was a pause, then a rough voice came back. "You killed an observer?" "That's not possible." Alexa leaned over and spoke into the mic. "It's not only possible, it's the beginning. We can fight back if we move together. But we don't have much time before they send another wave worse than before," the voice replied. "Calmer now. We'll send coordinates of all surviving outposts. We need to gather what's left of Earth's fighters. We're building something. A real resistance." By nightfall, they had received 6 reply signals from different parts of the planet. Australia, Brazil, northern Canada, Africa, the Himalayas, and even one from under the sea. Small cells. Still breathing, still angry, still fighting. Raylan gathered the pieces of the observer's shattered core. Alexa helped him fit the shards together and connect them to her crystal. This memory core might contain maps, patterns, even traces of their main network, she said. But it needs to be decoded through ancient tech much older than Earth satellites. I can't do it alone. I need to find the place where my people once lived before we were taken, before we were turned into tools. Where is that? Raylan asked. She pointed up, not at the stars, but at the moon. There's a ruin on the far side, she said, built long before humans walked on 2 legs, buried deep under the surface. It was once a place of knowledge. If we reach it, we might find the truth and a way to stop them forever. Raylan stared at the moon in silence. You want to go to the moon? Yes, she said simply. And I think we have to do it fast. The moment they find the observers gone, they'll realize Earth is not broken. They'll come in force. No more slow attacks, just fire and ash. The next day, they left the mountains and traveled toward one of the resistance bunkers. The journey was long, full of ruined roads and wild weather. But people helped them along the way, old men with solar radios, children who shared food, women who hid them in cellars. Humanity was hurt, but not dead. When they reached the bunker, They were greeted with suspicious stares and raised weapons. But once the others saw Alexa and the proof she carried, their anger melted into shock and then into hope. Inside the bunker, they showed the people the crystal, the core fragments, and the plan. One of the bunker's leaders, a woman named Commander Lin, stood up and said, "We don't have rockets. Left, not real ones. The launch sites were all hit in the first wave. But we do have one old mining shuttle buried in the Arctic, a lunar crawler designed for supply runs. It's buried under ice, but still intact, maybe usable. Then that's our ride," Raylan said. "We'll fix it, fuel it, fly it, whatever it takes." Over the next few days, the resistance pulled together. Old engineers, pilots, mechanics, and scientists came out of hiding. Plans were drawn, supplies gathered, and messages sent to other bunkers. Alexa worked night and day, using her crystal to locate the exact site on the moon. She said it was hidden in a crater older than human memory, a crater that didn't exist on any Earth map. On the 7th day, a new signal came, not from Earth but from space. It was not a warning. It was a voice, cold, deep, and full of static. "You killed what you do not understand," the voice said. "You opened a door that was sealed for a reason. Now face the full light of the architect. Your world is already fading. Your minds will crack before your bones do." Everyone in the room went silent. The voice stopped. Alexa whispered, "The architect is awake. That's the one behind everything, the real enemy. We've only scratched the surface of what it can do." Raylan looked around the bunker at all the people ready to stand and fight. "Then let's scratch deeper and make it bleed." The Arctic wind howled as the ground team cleared the last layer of ice from the buried mining shuttle. It was old, rusted, and barely holding together, but its core was solid. It had been built for hard travel, and this time, it would carry something more than supplies. Alexa stood beside the shuttle, her silver-blue skin glowing faintly under the northern lights. In her hands was the crystal, now pulsing brighter than ever. Inside it was the observer's core data, enemy signal maps, and the coordinates of the architect's hidden lair on the moon. Raylan stood beside her, dressed in an old spacesuit modified by resistance engineers. "Are you sure the architect will be there?" he asked. Alexa nodded slowly. "The ruins on the moon once a sanctuary of my people. The architect twisted it into a control station. Its mind is vast but still connected to that place. It returns there to rest, to think, to create more ways to break civilizations. If we destroy it there, its reach will shatter across the galaxy." Inside the shuttle, systems flickered to life. A low hum filled the chamber as fuel cells warmed. Engineers gave thumbs up one by one. The launch was risky, but there were no other options left. Commander Lin stood at the ramp and saluted. "You're carrying the last real hope we have. Don't come back unless it's over." Raylan and Alexa boarded the ship. The engines roared as fire lit the ice, and steam rose in columns. Then the shuttle rose, trembling, shaking but climbing higher and higher. Earth fell behind them, a wounded blue sphere hanging in silence. Ahead the moon waited, gray and cold, holding secrets from another time. They landed in the crater during the second moonrise. The site looked like nothing from Earth. Massive black pillars circled a glowing pit in the ground. Strange markings ran along the stone like veins of light. As they stepped out, the air buzzed not with sound, but thought. Raylan could feel it even through his helmet, a pressure on his brain, a whisper crawling through memory. "It's trying to break your mind," Alexa warned. "Ignore it, focus on the crystal. We need to reach the central node. It's inside that pit." They ran, dodging crumbled machines and shadow creatures that flickered in and out of sight. These were not drones. They were Thoughts made solid, weapons from a dreaming mind. Inside the pit, they found the core, a floating orb surrounded by black energy. The architect's mind pulsed inside it, shifting like a storm behind glass. Alexa stepped forward and lifted the crystal. "This is where it ends," she said, but before she could activate the crystal, the architect spoke not with words, but with feelings. Rylan saw images flash. In his head, Earth burning, Alexa falling, himself alone in endless silence. "You are nothing," the voice said inside his skull. "You are dust under stars. You are broken tools. You are meat with dreams." Rylan gritted his teeth. "No, I am human, and we fight. That's what we do." Alexa pressed the crystal into the core. Light burst in all directions. The black energy screamed and twisted as the signal fought back. The pit shook, the pillars cracked, and the ground trembled. The architect's mind lashed out in rage. It tried to pull Alexa into its code, to erase her mind. Rylan grabbed her arm and held her steady. "Finish it now," she screamed and pushed the last command into the core. The orb shattered. A silent shockwave spread out like ripples in time. The pillars collapsed. The shadows vanished, and the crater grew still. The architect was gone. They lay on the ground, together, breathing hard, staring at the stars above. "It's over," Alexa whispered. "Is it?" Rylan asked quietly. She looked at him and smiled. "For Earth, yes, for now, yes. But others are still out there, other worlds still caught in the same trap, but Earth has just lit a fire that the universe will see." Back on Earth, resistance radios buzzed with static, then clear signals. Enemy ships were falling from the sky, their lights going out. Across continents, people stood from hiding places and saw hope return. In the Arctic, Commander Lin stared up at the sky and whispered, "They did it. Those two did it." And high above Earth, the moon glowed quietly, holding the memory of one alien girl and one human soldier who changed everything. With one sentence, and finished what that sentence began.